Hey, I'm Codi Childs, host of the VYBE Online, and today I have Quentin Mezetin, A.K.A. the Mind Investor, here with me today. So I heard that you're a native New Yorker. I too am from New York, so I have to ask, what borough are you from, and Knicks or Nets?
I'm from Queens. Born in Brooklyn, moved to Queens because it was allegedly safer. So that's a good question. I love to see the Knicks win, so I don't get a lot of things I like. And I go to Nets games because they're like a third of the price.
Yes. Yeah, all about the economics, which brings me to my next point. Tell us how you got started in finance.
Okay, so I'm one of 5 brothers. My parents, they did everything they could to protect me and my brothers growing up, that they sent us to private school. So I went to private school until my junior year. And then at that time, finances were not looking good for them. So they sent me to public school. And during public school, I got to see what the world was really like. Like, I didn't know people didn't know how to read. People didn't pass. I didn't know people got left back. I thought that was after school specials. So going into school, as soon as I got past high school, I went back away to college, to private school again. And I had a girlfriend in high school. We were good. And I came back home, and my girlfriend, that next summer after my first year of college, she got pregnant. And yes, when she got pregnant, then all of a sudden it was like, wait, you're an adult now. No one's going to help you. And that's when I got my first lesson on, I got to get a job. I got to pay bills. My family's like, you want to be a man? Get your own place, because you want to out there have babies. So I had to learn about money. And I wish it was that easy, but I learned, it took me years to understand what credit was by ruining my credit, years to understand what budgeting was, savings was, after getting 2 cars repossessed, that like, wait, that's not pretty. And I didn't know how to file bankruptcy, or I would have because I just didn't know. But I realized that I did good in school. I was top of my class. I was doing good in college. And I never, ever understood what money really was, the relationship I could have with it. And I just started when I started studying it a little bit, meeting mentors, I was like, I need to go back to school, but not college, but literally just school of hard knocks. And that's what got me invested. And everybody around me is like failing at the same game. And I was like, so one of us got to win so we can at least tell other people. And that's kind of started my journey in just understanding finance.
Yeah. So you bring up a good point with credit. I know Christmas is kind of around the corner. It's crazy to think that we're almost kind of at the latter part of the year. But people tend to want to, get credit cards, pay for gifts and things like that. Can you tell us why that may not be the best idea?
Okay. So now it's a double-edged sword. So I'm the mind investor. So I believe the mindset controls everything. Credit cards are amazing. It's like credit cards for the right purpose, for the right usage, with the right understanding and the right discipline and mindset can be very beneficial. Coming this holidays, if you have a budget and you put that on the credit card, that could protect you when it comes to, let's say, the product doesn't really work, you don't want to really lose too much cash, but you know what you have, and then it protects you. We got Amazon, we got all these other places that we shop from. Credit card is nice because you can manage it, and credit cards come with perks, where if you're into traveling, you get a credit card that gives you travel perks. You're into shopping, you get cash back. So it's like creditcards.com lays down all the rules and perks of all the credit cards. So there could be pros. Now, good mindset, discipline. Bad mindset, discipline. We are taught to want things we do not need. And media is going to push things down. The new iPhone that we don't need is coming out around the holidays every year. It's like the new car deals that they want to get rid of. And every single thing that we don't need would always be advertised and marketed, Black Friday. And those things are the reason why our communities are in the hole that they're in, because we're so into the flashing lights and what we see that not all of us have the discipline that we need to say, I don't need that. And I'm not going to be less of a person if I don't have that. So it's like, that's the double edge. The holidays are coming. Know your budget. Know what you want to spend. And if one quote I try to go by forgive me, I don't do it all the time, is if I can't buy 5 of these, then I don't need this.
Ooh, that's great. Uh-huh.
So I was
I
like,
love
I
that.
think, you know, when it comes to clothes, when it comes to shoes, when it comes to things, if you can't buy 5, then no, don't get it. So with that concept, you know, I don't go buy a TV on Black Friday. I can't buy 5 of those. It's just like,
Yes.
and you know, and I look at stuff. Do I get things on sale Cyber Monday and stuff? If it's something I need, sure, Christmas shopping done early. But it's just, we need to know where we're at. You know your bills, you know your expenses. You definitely just need to say, hey, this holiday season, if I'm spending $1,000, I'm spending $1,000. Grandma, Uncle Jimmy, brothers, sisters, everybody gonna fall in this. There's $75 left. That person getting $75 worth of a gift.
Mhm. Yes, yes. Definitely knowing your means. And I like that you use the word discipline. I feel like that can apply to so many different areas of life. So absolutely. Can you explain what a FICO score is and what's changed about that this year?
All right. Well, FICO, something else I did not know until somebody told me that that's the reason I was wasting so much money is if you were to guess what FICO is, and I'm not asking you to guess, but you know
Oh,
what FICO
yes, please.
is. Okay.
I do not.
You
Yes,
do
I don't.
not. So FICO is
No.
an acronym. And when people used to ask me, I was like, oh, well, you know, let's federal, you know, and
Maybe
that
income, maybe.
credit, associate, like, you know, organization. You know, you're kind of there. And then it's like, it's Fair Isaac's Corporation. Who's Isaac?
Right.
It was actually a gentleman in 1956 who came up with this system to kind of just give credit to people. And it's an organization, meaning it's just humans behind it. And it's there to pretty much, I feel like it was set up to just separate people because you're judged now by this FICO score of who you are as a person. So your word doesn't matter anymore. It's what we see on your FICO score. So this FICO score is just pretty much how you are looked at by banks, by lenders when it comes to your credit. Runs from 300 to 850. The higher your score, the better pretty much your life. And the lower your score, the worse you are, even if you're a good person. It doesn't matter because that's what the computer says. Now, it's judged by pretty much your credit usage, your history, your different credit accounts, and limits. Pretty much are the top things that determine what your score is. So some people are like, hey, how many credit cards should you get? A lot. Get as many credit cards as you can. However, that comes with the mindset and the discipline. And since we don't have that in our communities, stick to 2. It's like limit yourself from the temptation because the temptation is real. But as you work on it, you should grow it because this year, unlike the other years, FICO 10P is coming. When I mention that to people, they're like, okay, what's that? They didn't know that we went through FICO 6, 7, 8. And 8 is what's been used right now when you're buying a house, getting a credit card, and all those things that are scoring you. And the main difference is if I went to go buy a car right now, the lender will pull my credit and he will see where I'm at right now. So right now, if I'm 720 and I have these credit cards and I have these loans and they're all paid on time, I'm good to go right now. Yay. FICO 10T trending. Now, what that is going to do is now look at 24 months of your credit. So if last year you were in between jobs and you were a little struggling and you had a little bad payment history and stuff like that, and you mess up, have high limits, we are now going to get judged on you 2 years ago for your decisions now. If you're under 650 as a score, your score will drop because by being under 650, a massive shift is going to happen in credit. And they don't care about COVID and all this other pandemic stuff. They're doing this. They already have this set in motion. If you're above 650, you're safe. But if you're 700, you're actually going to go up. So if you have good credit right now, or if you can get good credit right now, you are actually in a better position because you're going to get even better credit. And it's going to just increase this gap that there is maybe in wealth in certain areas, because now they're going to be coming on you. They're going to be going harder on late payments, on payment history, and pulling everything back up for 2 years, FICO 10T, they call it, trending.
So when did this new age kind of FICO start?
All right, this FICO 10T started with all the credit bureaus. They started implementing it August. So in August, all of this started being implemented, and all the lenders and banks and all the other organizations will be implementing it by the end of this year. So if you haven't already, if you fit the under 650 credit score, you have probably seen a drop. If you haven't, it's coming. And if you're over, if you're in 650 and 700, you might be a little safe, but you're borderline. But if you're over 7, you're probably enjoying the little increase, because now all these things are coming together, and I hope you prepared for it and you're going to be able to do something, because you don't even got any more time to wait. You need to do something now because you're already late.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk about sports. So a lot of schools are allowing their kids to play sports and participate in athletics. Can we talk about school sports and insurance a little bit?
Yes. So I don't have one kid. I have 5 kids.
Wow.
And I'm very, very into sports. I'm into sports myself. I do Spartan races, and you got to sign the waiver that if you die, please don't sue us. Throughout. And I like sports. I feel like the competition mindset is very good outside of sports for business, relationships, the camaraderie, the level of diversity in sports. I'm all for it. So I support sports 120% because it really brings people together, because you can't knock somebody's skill. You go, outside of whatever they're from, their skill is their skill. Now, when it comes to sports, the other side of sports is, like you mentioned, insurance is injury with kids in sports. There are some kids that were close to making it to the NBA, but then they got injured. Close to making it to the NFL and got injured, and then you just become a story that was like, oh man, that was a lot of potential. Now, most of us are doing sports, and when we're doing sports and we're good, and they start speaking like, pro level, we're thinking about, wow, I'm about to take my family out of poverty. I'm about to, like retire my mom. And we start thinking these big thoughts. So when something like that happens, it doesn't just hurt us, but it hurts our pride, our goals, our dreams, because this is everything for us. And growing up in New York, you already know, it's like, you're going to be a basketball player or a rapper?
Yep.
Then you got to find a profession. You're not one of those two. But when you see somebody, you're like, yo, this guy's going to make it, and he's going to do something. So I believe in insurance, and not for insurance because of death, but there's new insurance. Just like everything's changing, life insurance has changed, where life insurance can cover what we call living benefits, which protect you in the case of critical injury, chronic illness, and terminal illness. So these are things that people get all throughout their life, but they don't die. They're alive. But when you don't have the right insurance that could cover you in these ways, then you're not really protected. And when things like this happen, now you got medical bills. Now you got to get a job. Now you got to put some stress on somebody else. And it's expensive to take care of somebody. We all seen kids sometimes walking with a cane, walking with a cast, and we're like, whoa, that kid's going through it. But it's like the parents are going through it too. So what I do is I make sure that, I review people's policies as a father myself, for my own coverage, but also for all 5 of my kids. They have coverage, because I'm like, I don't want life to happen to them on the journey of life where they have to stop dreaming and stop going after what they want, because it's like, it's a strain. Like 60% of Americans who are in debt is because of medical bills. So it's just like, it's a problem that we have as just a nationwide problem that slowly can be addressed by a simple policy. Like for each of my kids, I have like a $50 policy. It's not expensive for kids to have a policy. And I actually went a little bit above. You start at 25.
I mean, we've gotten so much rich knowledge from this just short time of talking to you. So I really appreciate it. How can people reach you if they have any questions or just kind of want to follow up with what you're doing?
So you can hit me up at The Mind Investor. I'm much more active on Instagram, but I'm everywhere. But Instagram, you can hit me up, and you can follow my YouTube channel also, The Mind Investor, and you'll see me, and I'll be dropping nuggets on things for family to empower, educate, and enlighten people to just live better lives and start to win. Because my goal is that we can all win, and we deserve to win. So let's start winning.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your words and for your knowledge. Once again, this is Codi Childs, and you've been watching The VYBE Online.
What's up, guys? My name is Jarah, and you're watching The VYBE Online. Today, I'm here with Ben Gibson Jr., a Senior Vice President Corporate Banker. How are you?
I am well. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Good. Excellent.
So some of you may not know, but I am an accounting major going into my last year. And I know that you also got a business degree in finance at Georgia State University. Can you tell us what you're up to now?
Yes. I graduated from Georgia State and graduated with a degree in finance as well. Started working for a bank really before I got out of college through an internship, and been working in what we call corporate banking since then, through various capacities and different roles. And so, that's kind of what I'm doing today. I've been doing that for almost 20 years now. Outside of that, I spend a lot of time, I think partly because people know I've been in finance, talking to people, educating, consulting folks as it relates to personal finance as well. That's kind of off the clock work that I do.
Amazing. I see some other off-the-clock work might be sitting as a board member for the German American Cultural Foundation. How does that play into banking? Would you mind me asking?
You know what? You're not the first person that asked that. Actually, part of what I do is I work with corporate customers and who are business owners. And a lot of what I do, a lot of businesses I work with are internationally based. And Atlanta is becoming more of a hub for international businesses. And so one of my customers, international, from Germany, had asked me to join the board maybe about 3-4 years ago. It was an interesting experience because I was the only American on the board, or kind of non-German American on the board, and didn't speak, and I still don't speak much of the language. And so it's been a great experience, very culturally, a learning experience. And so I've enjoyed it.
A lot of us have turned to online shopping during quarantine, and we're losing all of our money. Can you give us some tips on how to budget?
As far as online spending and quarantine spending, one of the things I think that's important is to really sit down before the month begins or the week begins or even the year begins, wherever you're budgeting, period you're budgeting to, and putting something down as far as what your plan is. The reason I think that's so important from a budgeting perspective is, your money is a tool. And like any other tool, like a hammer or a screwdriver, your tool is supposed to work for you and you not work for it. Dave Ramsey, one of the guys I follow quite a bit over the years, is a financial kind of guru, expert. He talks about not letting your money tell you what to do, but telling your money what to do, right? Using your money as a tool. And so when you sit down to budget, it really allows you to use your money as a tool and basically plan out, okay, this money's going towards this money's going toward that. I'm going to use this for these purposes. And so it's the same thing with saving for gifts or for anything else that you want to plan for. It can be as simple as you want it to be, but it can be complex too, depending on all the things that you have going on.
The holidays are coming up, and I know I have my eye on a few gifts for friends. What are some ways that I can start saving now?
Another great question. The holidays are one of the ways that a lot of people get out of whack with their finances, and they get out of sorts with reality, really, because we're emotionally driven during the holidays to spend and to give, which is a good thing, I think, to give to folks. Sometimes our emotions get the best of us, and we we spend more money than we have, and that's where credit card debt and other types of debt come in, to kind of catch that lack of discipline that we have. And so some of the best ways to, I think, save for a budget for the holidays is really to sit down, again, before the holidays begin, before this season begins, and figure out how much you're going to spend. And then break that amount. Let's call it $500 for the holidays. And that might be a little bit much for college students or folks in under 30. But let's say you want to spend $500 and you've got 5 months to do that, right? So you break that $500 up into $100 a month. And that's the way you pretty much save it. You set aside a certain amount every month in your budget to save for that goal. It's really taking bite-sized pieces. And you can break it down however you want, however you get paid, just breaking it down to bite-sized pieces and really being disciplined to put it somewhere that you can't touch and it's set aside for a particular purpose.
Many teenagers and young adults work minimum wage jobs. So what would you say to those who feel like they don't earn enough money to tithe?
I would say that is most times not true, okay? I've talked to people over the years, and they really consider giving and tithing as kind of a thing you do once you've done everything else. What we've done in my family and how I talk to other people, I say really make giving a priority, make it on the top of the list as a budget. It doesn't have to be much, right? So, maybe you only make $500 a week or, every 2 weeks. However, you can set aside $5, $10, what have you, to go towards tithing or giving. There's different interpretations about what the tithe is. I think most people would agree it's probably 10% of whatever you make. But even if you can't make that 10% for whatever reason at this time, I always advise people to set a priority initially to give first. And when you do that, I think your giving and things of that nature will increase over time. But I think everyone has a little extra money to do because most of us spend extra money on things like fast food, Netflix, you name it. We have extra money. So I would say it's all about prioritization more than not having enough.
How would you say that your relationship with Christ influences your business decisions?
That is so important, I think, to put Christ first in pretty much, and really all decisions, not just business decisions, not just money decisions. Our goal as believers is to really glorify God. That's our goal. And so whatever we do with our time, our finances, our families, our resources, our minds, whatever we have, we have to glorify God. And so I think of it in the same respect as it relates to finance and business. What can I do to glorify God in this way? And how can I make it a priority to please God in this way? And so that's how I make decisions. It's really, through prayer and planning, really. And I use those things together because they're interchangeable. I think not interchangeable, but they go together. They're complementing each other, prayer and planning. I don't think you can really plan without prayer. As a Christian, you shouldn't plan without prayer. And so there are times, to give you an example, that we'll set a budget as a family. We'll sit down and we'll say we want to spend this amount of money on this, this, and that. And then a need will come up or something comes up, and our hearts are just pulled towards another direction than what we planned. Well, the reality of it is it's all God's money. It's all His resources anyway. So if God, who's the owner of it, and me, who I believe I'm the steward of it, are work together to bring glory to God and bring good upon the people of God and the community. If He tells me to move and readjust my budget or to do this with money or do this with resources or business decision, I've got to obey and change my priorities, change my plans to match and line up with His. And so I really like the planning because I think God wants us to plan, but also we need to also be flexible to listen to Him and to listen to the direction He gives us in finances and again in everything, whether it's school or what have you. If I could, I was going to share one small thing as it relates to just putting God first as it relates to school and just being a young adult and being pulled in various directions. I remember when I was in school and I was working full time because I had to, and I was going to school full time because I had to. And there were times where I didn't even feel like I couldn't study as much as my peers could. But I also knew that I needed to, you know, spend time and serve in the church. And it was a tough time to prioritize what to do and when to do. But those were the times when I leaned deeply upon God and really had him to direct me. And I will tell you, even though I didn't feel like I got a chance to study as much as I did, as much as my peers did, I feel like God was able to really help me in the test time and in my preparations for school. And, you know, I came out of school, you know, top, you know, high honors as a magna cum laude out of Georgia State. And I think that's all due to the fact God was gracious towards me and me really putting him first and prioritizing him and his work above everything else.
And if you guys would like to reach BJ, you can contact him through the VYBE Online. And I'm your host, once again, Jarah.